Hello and welcome to another match preview show on Football Talk Podcast. My name's Ozzie and I'm your host for this evening. It wasn't that long ago that these two teams faced each other at Tottenham Stadium as Liverpool were victorious with a thumping scoreline of 6-3. Of course, that was in the Premier League, but could we see a repeat of a high scoring game? Well, it will all depend on the team selection, to be honest. But also, will need to decide if he's going to field a strong lineup or possibly rotate a few players after a disappointing team performance against Manchester United a couple of days ago. So today we'll discuss that in more detail when we do the lineups. Let's review Tottenham's recent form since we last faced them. So it's not been great for Tottenham, to be honest with you. Three games have been played since that 6-3 defeat. They narrowly lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest, who have been sensational this season. They almost beat Wolves, but unfortunately they conceded a late goal and the game ended 2-2. And in their recent game over the weekend, despite taking an early lead, they end up losing 2-1 to Newcastle. So from Liverpool's perspective, we're playing a team that are down in the dumps, and with this being a two-legged affair, a handsome scoreline could be exactly what Liverpool need as games are piling up, as Liverpool are in all competitions. In the last five games for Liverpool, they have won four games and drew one, which was, of course, against Manchester United over the weekend. So I'm sure that the team will want to bounce back to winning ways, as that draw felt like a defeat, and I'm sure everyone will agree with that one. So, in terms of team news, unfortunately for Tottenham, their injury crisis hasn't changed in the last few weeks. In fact, there's another player that's been added to the casualty list, and that is Udogi, who will be out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury. Also, the likes of Vicario, Romero, Van der Ven, and Davis, Richarlison, Mickey Moore, they're not available for this fixture. Um, but there's also further issues in terms of team selection for Ange Postecoglou, as two players are suspended for the first leg. Madison and Sarr both picked up two yellows in the competition, so unfortunately that leads to um, a suspension and they're unavailable for one match. In terms of Liverpool, Szoboszlai is still unavailable due to illness, so it'll be very unlikely that he's involved in this game. Joe Gomez is out of action for the next few weeks, which was confirmed by Arsenal earlier today. Bradley and Konate have returned to action as they both featured against Manchester United. However, I think it's key to manage these players very carefully, especially Konate, who played the full 90 minutes on Sunday, and it was quite obvious to say that he wasn't fully fit. So let's see if he's involved tomorrow. So what we'll do now is we'll present a graphic and I'll do the predicted lineups for both teams, and we'll start with the home team first. So not a lot of places to choose from in terms of Tottenham, so it'll be quite a straightforward one. So Vicario, as I mentioned to you, is injured. Foster has played in recent weeks, but he was out of action due to illness over the weekend. So I'm not sure if he's made a recovery to participate in this fixture. So the keeper that ended up playing was Austin over the weekend. So I'm going to say Austin stays in goal for this one, if I can find him. There he is, Austin, right there. So I think he'll remain in goal due to the uncertainty of Foster's availability. Now, in terms of the back line, Spence actually had a good game against Mohamed Salah. So even if Udogie was available, I think Ange Postecoglou would have selected Spence for the fixture. Probably one of the, I would say, shining lights against Liverpool in that 6-3 defeat. So I thought he actually had a decent game. So he starts at left back for me, and he'll be very important from a Tottenham point of view in terms of stopping Salah, who likes to cut in, of course. So he's got a big role to play to make sure nothing's coming down Liverpool's right hand side. In terms of the centre back pairing, it's going to be Archie Gray, who's still being deployed in that defensive role, and alongside him will be Dragusin, who didn't have the best of games against Newcastle, so he's got a lot to make up for. In terms of the right back, it will be Pedro Porro, who's had a decent season so far, to be fair. So that's your back four there. Pretty much the same back four that faced us a few weeks ago. Now, generally, it would have been Sarr in the double pivot, but due to his suspension, that will allow Bentancur to return to the first team. He's just made a return after a lengthy suspension, so he'll be available for this fixture, and he'll be alongside Bissouma. So a strong double pivot, if I'm being honest. Two players defensively focused, very strong on and off the ball, and do have a decent shooting range on them as well. So yeah, definitely gotta be on the lookout for these two in terms of this game. Definitely present uh, physicality in that middle of the box. So for me, we've got to make sure that in set pieces we're dealing with them, but also in open play, we have to be on top of our game in terms of winning aerial challenges or winning the first ball and trying to make sure that they don't get anything from us in terms of passing or trying to block us from playing our game. So I think this area will definitely be a key battle when I present the Liverpool lineup very shortly. Now, in terms of the advanced three, generally it would have been Madison in that number 10 role. I'm going to go for Kulusevski. I think he's probably been one of the most consistent players in the team. And I don't think he's the most dynamic of players, even though he plays on the right wing. So this number 10 role might suit his skill set. And he'll be able to roam around the box. And he's got a decent shot on him. So definitely a position I'm sure he'll be comfortable playing in. So on the right side, I think he'll be Brennan Johnson, who's probably not a sort of a big star in the team, but he's a hardworking player. He manages to get a decent amount of goals. I think he's got 7 or 8 goals so far this season. So definitely plays a part in the team's output. On the left, this is one that I was debating. Obviously, on paper, you'd say Son, because that's normally his position. I was thinking maybe Timo Werner could have a shout, only due to the fact that Trent had an awful game against Manchester United over the weekend. So maybe Postecoglou would want to take advantage of that and play someone that's a little bit more direct, someone that's got a bit more speed and can really outspin Trent Alexander-Arnold on that right-hand side. I'm going to stick with Son on that left-hand side. I think Son can still do a decent job, but I do expect Werner to come on at some stage of the game. That would be a key sort of tactical approach or even a game changer if required. And through the middle will be a former red in Dominic Solanke. So that is the predicted lineup that I'm presenting for the Tottenham team. Apart from Bentancur and Bernard Johnson, the rest of the players, and sorry, Austin as well in goal. It's the same team that started against Liverpool a few weeks ago. So no huge surprise in terms of what to expect from this team. We know what Son's capable of. We know Solanke has picked up some form, obviously scored in that game as well. Johnson, player that can definitely attack that byline. So whoever's playing left back, whether it's Robertson or Simicast, they really need to make sure that he doesn't take advantage on that right hand side. And Bissouma and Bentancur is actually a solid double pivot in my opinion. So we need to make sure we're winning those physical battles in the middle of the park. Obviously, the area that's a bit of a weakness is the centre of defence, not because of individual players or anything like that, because, you know, Archie Gray is a midfielder. He's a makeshift centre back. This actually, he actually had a good game against us, but I feel like that's an area we need to look at and take advantage of. Pedro Porro, really good going forward, but we can definitely exploit him if he's further up the pitch, and whoever's playing left wing can definitely attack behind and try and go on goal from there onwards. So a lot of areas that I feel like Liverpool can definitely exploit. I also feel like it's a game that we can definitely cause damage and have a high scoring game, hopefully. So this is the predicted lineup for Tottenham. I'm going to switch the graphic to the Liverpool lineup, and then we can discuss the team in more detail. So generally, Kelleher starts these sort of Carabao Cup games. But I'm actually thinking Allison might get the nod for this one, only due to the fact that we've got an FA Cup tie later on this week. So rather than having Allison out cold for over will be about 8 9 days. I think he'd rather. It's just my prediction. I think Arsenal would rather play Allison in this game and then rest him for 6 days and then have Kelleher starting against Accrington Stanley on Saturday. So also, we got to consider the fact that this is a semi-final, so maybe Arsenal will not have that sentimental approach that Klopp did with Kelleher, and I think he'll try and play the best team lineup as possible. So I think Alisson will start um, on the right hand side. I haven't given up hope on him. Trent will remain in the lineup despite what a lot of fans say. Of course, didn't have the best of games, but that doesn't mean you dispel him from the team completely. Still going to start in this game and will have a big role to play. On the left-hand side, I would actually play Simicas. I think this would be a good time to rotate that side of the pitch. Robertson has been playing a lot more than I think Arsenal would like him to play due to the fact that Simicas picked up an injury a few weeks ago. So now we have to be very careful in terms of how we manage these two players. And I think this will be a good game to rotate and give Robertson a bit of a rest. I don't expect Robertson to start this weekend either, so he'll be in contention to play against Nottingham Forest next Tuesday. So that would be my approach for the selection in terms of the defense. I'm going for Van Dijk in this fixture. Normally, I would pick Konate alongside him, but because Konate has just returned from injury, and let's be honest, against Manchester United, he went through the walls, uh, played the full 90 minutes, and looked exhausted towards the end. So for me, due to the quick turnaround, it's only been a couple of days since we played United. It might not be the smartest of decisions to start him in this fixture. So the big debate will be who starts in centre back alongside Van Dijk. So you've got Kwanzaa, you've got Wataru Endo. Joe Gomez would definitely have started if he was available. And we don't really have any other centre back options. We have Nalo, who's a young player, but I expect him to feature in the FA Cup tie rather than this game. So I'm going to go for Kwanzaa on the basis that we don't really have much choice. So you'd rather play a natural centre back rather than a makeshift centre back in Endo, who, to be fair, did a decent job in the last game against Southampton in the Carabao Cup. But I think for this fixture, it might be worth playing Kwanzaa, give him some minutes, give him a bit of game time going forward. So this will be my backline against Tottenham. Now, in terms of the double pivot, we have to go strong. We have to go with the best players available. So that is Gravenberch. Then you've got McAllister alongside him, who got fantastic against Manchester United. Really, really good performance from him. Big debate will be that number 10 position. Who starts in that role? I I'm a little bit up in the air with this one. Originally, I had Harvey Elliott in, but then I thought maybe Curtis Jones will get the nod. And the only reason I'm saying Curtis Jones because I looked at the Tottenham team in terms of the double pivot, and I feel like those are two players that are quite physical, and they will certainly try to man mark our number 10, which is of course it could be Harvey Elliott or it could be Curtis Jones. So I feel like it might be more suited for Curtis Jones to start this game and then have Harvey Elliott come on at the latter stages. So I'm going to go for Jones in this position. I know he didn't have the best of games against Manchester United, but that doesn't mean you can't select him in the next game. Um, he deserves another chance. He's had a decent season so far. So I'm going for Curtis Jones. I think he'll be able to handle the physicality of Bissouma and Bentancur a bit better in comparison to Harvey Elliott. I think Harvey Elliott might be a better option coming off the bench as an impact player. So that's my thinking in terms of the team selection here. On the right hand side, of course, Mohamed Salah. No debate there. Now on the left, you have to give it to Cody Gakpo. This is his competition. He's got 4 goals so far in this Carabao Cup campaign. So he's in good, rich vein of form as well. Who has already hit double figures in the Premier League. So for me, you got to keep the form going. So I feel like Gakpo deserves to start in this fixture. Big question: who starts up top? Is it Jota? Is it Darwin Nunez? Or is it Luis Diaz? I think for this fixture, it might be wise to rest Luis Diaz, who's played in consecutive games. So for me, he could be a player available from the bench, but I would not start him in this fixture. Just feel like he needs to, be rotated and rested in this moment. So it's between Darwin Nunes and Jota. I would probably go for Jota in this lineup. I think Jota's movement might cause them more issues than Darwin Nunes. I feel like with Darwin Nunes, it might be quite predictable in terms of how he plays his game. So I feel like maybe I know Archie Gray and Dragusin haven't had the best of times as a defensive unit, but I feel like Dragusin could probably man mark him and use his physicality to get Nunes out of the game, and then that kind of leaves us in an issue where how do we create attacks from there onwards? So I think Jota, he's a type of striker where he doesn't go for those physical battles. He roams around the box, and obviously he tries to find goal scoring positions. So I feel like Jota just might be more suited in this role, and obviously he can drop deep if required. So I'm going for Diogo Jota to start in this fixture. So that is my predicted lineup. Obviously, Darwin Nunes would be an option off the bench. You've got Luis Diaz, if required, to come off the bench as well. Harvey Elliott would definitely get some game time in this game. And hopefully Chiesa gets some minutes. I know he's a player that is being strongly linked to a move away from the club. I don't think he'll move personally, but I think this is the week where he needs to get some game time. So from this game, I think maybe a cameo off the bench would be great. And I'm expecting him to start in the next fixture against Accrington Stanley. But in terms of this fixture, this is the predicted lineup that I'm going for. Feel free to drop a comment, let me know what you guys think. And then in terms of my score prediction, of course, I have to go for Liverpool win due to the opposition that we have. They're not the strongest um, defensively. So I think this will be not a 6-3 type of game. I don't think it will be that open. I think they'll try to have a slight more of a defensive approach, not completely, because that's not how Ange Postecoglou sets his team up. But I think he will have learned his lesson from that fixture. And with Bentancur in the middle of the park, I feel like that just gives them a bit more steel as protection for that back four. So for me, I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory for the Reds. Now, in terms of goal scorers, I'm going to predict Diogo Jota, Cody Gakpo, and Mohamed Salah to get onto the score sheet. So that is my predicted lineup. That's my score prediction. And that is also the end of the show. Before we close, I've got a few comments which I'll go through now, and we'll take it from there. Salah says, big up. Jordan says, hey, bro, big up, Jordan. Daz says, big up, Ozzie. Where's 12th man? So, unfortunately, 12th man wasn't able to make the show today, but we will definitely reschedule and get him on at another time. So, yes, do be on the lookout for 12th man. He'll definitely make an appearance on the show at some point. And Daz's lineup is Kelleher, Trent, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, Costas, Maka, Dom. Dominic Szoboszlai, from what I'm aware, is not available for selection, so that's why I haven't included in my team. If Dominic Szoboszlai is available, I would probably play him instead of Curtis Jones. I think he would definitely cause Bissouma and Bentancur havoc. So I'm going on basis of what I've read and also the press conference from Arsenal earlier today. So I don't think he will be available, but we'll see. And you've also gone for Mo, Jota, and Darwin Núñez. So okay, so I'm assuming Jota on the left, Darwin Núñez through the middle. That's fair. He never said any keeper, Ozzie. Um, Abdul says, hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Welcome assalam to Abdul. I'm doing good. I hope you are doing well. He says, we need to rotate for Spurs and Accrington. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. You never walk alone, and many thanks. Big up yourself, Abdul. Das asks, do you start Darwin on Saturday, Ozzie? You'd have to say yes, because then, unfortunately, if let's say my lineup ends up being true, he doesn't get to start in this game. And if I don't start him in the Accrington Stanley game, then that becomes a bit of an issue for the player. So Possibly, um, because he wouldn't have started in this game. So I feel like you've got to at least start him or rotate. But I would possibly, yeah, I would start him possibly, and then also give a run out to Dance, who's just come back from injury. I feel like he deserves a bit of game time. So we'll see, in terms of my prediction, who starts for that match. But yes, Darwin Nunes would definitely be in contention to start against Accrington Stanley. That says 4-0. Fair enough. Um, Abdul says we need to sell Darwin Nunes and get in Isak. I just saw his goal against Arsenal. Arsenal lost today, if you're not aware, against Newcastle in the other semi-final cup tie. And yeah, it was a close range finish. It wasn't nothing spectacular. But in terms of his rich vein of form, he's been scoring consecutively. So that's the player that I've been shouting about for quite a few months. And so is Abdul, to be fair. So that's the player that we want to see in a Liverpool shirt next summer, because obviously I don't have any glimmer of hope of signing him in this window. But we'll see. Who knows what happens in terms of the future? Abdul says prediction: Spurs 1, Liverpool 3. That's a fair shout as well. Um, Solo says big up. Abdul says play Chiesa, Endo, Elliot, Bradley, Simicast, and Kelleher in this fixture. Uh, I wouldn't play. I wouldn't start. I would definitely give him minutes, but I wouldn't start him. Endo, he'd probably come on. Elliot. So the guys you've mentioned, I will start all of them for the next game against Accrington Stanley. That would be my prediction, because these players would offer the experience element of that lineup, and the rest of the players would be youth players. That's what I would do. So, but yeah, in terms of the next game, I definitely agree. That would be the teams. That would be the players that I would start in my team. So it says I'm in your WhatsApp. I'm in your WhatsApp. Big up, Solo. Um, that says goals from Mo, two for Darwin, one for Diaz. Fair enough. Solo says smash the likes, people. Uh, and for Uncle Ross says would start with Bradley instead of Trent. Yeah, that's fair. I just don't want to overuse Conor Bradley so early after returning from an injury. I know he's been out for about 6, 7 weeks now. It was a hamstring injury, so you've got to be very careful with players that have just returned from that sort of injury. It can literally you can pull a muscle very, very quickly, especially because he's such a dynamic player. If it was like a centre back, you wouldn't be hugely concerned if it's a hamstring injury. But when it's a player like a fullback who goes up and down the pitch, I think it's a slight concern, especially he just made a cameo against United. He played for about, it was 7 minutes added, so about just under 20 minutes. So that's a good kind of time for him to find a bit of rhythm. I would definitely play him in this game. I just wouldn't start him. I think maybe bring him on for about half an hour and then have him start against Accrington Stanley. So that way he's slowly getting back into the rhythm. He's not being overworked too much, and then he can slowly, get into the team and challenge for that right back spot. So definitely an added plus in terms of team selection. So a good headache for Arne Slot. Dan saying big up to Rods. Solo saying I'm starting Endo in the FA Cup. Yeah, so am I, 100%. And for Uncle Rods says big up to Dad. So yes, guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to, who do we have there? We've got Solo, we've got Jordan, we've got Daz, we've got Abdul Rahim, and we've got and for the Uncle Ross. Big up for your comments, guys. Thank you for your engagement. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming content, I will be doing a live watch along for this game tomorrow. It's a, let me double check the time. I'm so sure it's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Yes, it is 8 p.m. kickoff. So I'll be live from 7:50 p.m. UK time, and then I will do the match reaction at 11 p.m. It's also a calling show, as you are well aware, guys. So if you'd like to come on and have your say, a link will be available in the chat. So feel free to hit the link and yeah, come on and have your say. And then in terms of Other shows this week. On Thursday, we've got the match preview of Liverpool versus Accrington Stanley. And then on Saturday, we will have the live watch along for that game. It's a 12:15 kickoff, yeah, which is very early, but that's how it goes. And then we'll have a match reaction show later in the evening. Transfer talk shows. I might have one, just haven't figured out which day to do it. There hasn't been too many rumors circulating, especially from a Liverpool front. There hasn't been that many at all. But even in terms of Premier League, I've heard a few whispers about some clubs trying to sign players. Bournemouth signed a left back today. His name is Julio Soler, actually a player that Liverpool were very strongly linked to last summer. So they're currently looking at maybe a Kirkes replacement for the future. Who knows? But we'll definitely um, have a transfer talk show in due course. If not this week, we'll definitely do one on Monday. But yeah, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak to you all very, very soon. Goodbye.